All right. A lot of these poses for general back care will be able to use for herniation as well. So I'll kind of give you a heads up when they work for both. So traction is the kind of, and it's the go-to in a way, to lengthen the spine for both general back care and one of the big ones for herniation as well, and certainly a go-to for scoliosis. So the great thing about these poses is that it's self-traction. So it's all very well thinking, okay, traction, I need those gravity boots, you know, that you hang upside down, all these things that flip you up and down. The problem with that is it's great, but it's full traction, and it's not really, you know, once you're hanging upside down in gravity boots, you're full traction and you're hanging, there's not much, if it's too much, there's not much you can do about it. These you can really gauge for yourself. So a really, really simple one. A lot of us, we know, kind of sitting posterior tilt. So we start to round in the lower back. We've said it's fine to flex in the lumbar spine. We know that it's all fine. But it's the cumulative kind of compressive stresses that we sit for hours and hours on end with a rounded lower back, rounded shoulders. And after a while, I think most of us, me certainly, you get that kind of crunchy, kind of compressed feeling in the lower back. So I say I would sit for about 20 minutes max, and then I have to get up or I have to do some kind of traction just to get that crunchy, tight feeling out of the lower back. So a really good one is if, just come to this, I'm going to turn my chair around. Come to sit on the edge of your chair. So you're sitting right on the edge, and feet are hip distance apart. My legs are at a right angle. So all of this I know is very precise, but it makes a lot of difference. You know, if your one hip is slightly back or forward, or you're tilting on one sit bone, it does make a difference in these kind of poses. So we're sitting on the edge of the chair, lean forward. Maybe you can watch me first and then we'll do it together. So leaning forward, I'm going to take my arms around just below my knees, so kind of on my shins. Straightening out the back, lengthening the back, reaching the crown of my head forward and my sit bones backwards. And then with my arms, I'm going to be pulling under the knees towards me. So it's that kind of action, pulling the shins towards me. So you can maybe take hold of your elbows if that feels comfortable. Then I pull my shins back towards me, reach the crown of my head away from me and my sit bones away. And immediately I feel kind of like in inverted commas, lengthening in the spine. So let's do that together. I'm going to have a look. For those of you who are on, don't worry if your camera's not on. That's it, Janine. How's that feeling in the back?
It feels so good.
So especially if we have that should really feel great. It's such a simple kind of exercise and something we can do just about anywhere if we've got a chair. For anyone who wants to pop up and make a comment, let me know. I won't keep asking you because you might have your speakers off and then you have to back and forward. But if anyone wants to say something.
I wanted to ask, when we're lengthening the spine, is that now bringing in that posterior tilt to pull the tailbone down, or are you trying to pull it as the way you're sitting, you're trying to pull your tailbone behind you towards the wall behind you rather than trying to tuck it under?
Yes, definitely sending kind of behind you rather than a tilt. It's definitely not a posterior tilt. It's a kind of a, let me just show you in standing as well. You can do exactly the same pose standing. So you might be able to see better there. So you come into like a little Utkatasana chair pose. Exactly the same thing. I'm wrapping my arms around and then I'm not rounding posterior tilting. I'm pushing away. Can you see the difference? Okay. I'm rounding. There I'm lengthening, almost as someone's got a rope coming out of my bum and pulling me one direction. And then reaching forward and I'm pulling back on the shins. Makes sense?
Yes, I'm going to try that now.
Okay, so that's such a simple one. Just a little bit of traction. And remember when I say we're lengthening the spine, we're not really lengthening. We can't, you know, we can't get the, it's just in, if you took a hose pipe in an S and you measured from the top to the bottom and then you pulled it long, it's going to measure longer, but you haven't lengthened that piece of hose pipe. but we're trying to get that sense of kind of opening up. And I always say to people, visualize what you're doing. Picture the vertebra and think about giving a little bit of space in between them. So that's really cool. Yes.
I also do that because I'm wondering if everyone has a chair. For now, like with online teaching, it's easy because everyone has a chair. That's a good thing. But in the studio, it might not be the case. Yeah. And the Utkatasana seems to be a good version, but you need a little bit of strength in the legs for that if you want to hold it for longer. And it seems I don't have any back problems. So that's not, I can't say that it's feeling good or not good because I don't have problems. But when Janine says it is amazing, it feels so good, people might want to stay in it longer. Mm-hmm. Could I do it in a Paschimottanasana, so with bent knees, very, very bent knees, and then also trying to bring the sit bones to the back of the mat and leaning forward, having the same kind of structure in the spine and having the upper body lean on the thighs and the fingers maybe at the toes, however long the legs are. No, maybe then you will have to maybe get a hold of the toes. I don't know, to get the same. Yeah.
Getting that same kind of pull, and it's quite. I'm just doing it now. It's quite difficult to lean at that same.
I think you would have to grab your toes. If you sit there and have the knees bent and you grab your toes.
Yeah, that could work. I'm just thinking, even this might work as well if you're doing your Utkatasana with your bum against the wall.
But can I then still push the sit bones back that much?
So you're going to have to really pull on the shins. I still feel it now. Maybe everyone can pull it against the wall. So you're taking that, I know what you're talking about, that fatigue out of the legs. Push the bum into the back of the wall, to the wall, and then reach the crown of the head forward and pull onto the shins.
That's also really nice.
So there I would encourage you to lift, almost slide the sit bones up the wall. How does that?
It really feels nice.
Eva, how does that feel for you?
I don't actually feel a lot of difference because it's fine for me anyway. So but it's good to know because the chair is really nice, but it's good to know that there is an option at the wall as well.
Yeah, thank you. Absolutely. Also, you know, another one I do a lot if I'm sitting in front of the computer, and again, Eva, I know this is with a chair, but if you're sitting at home and you're feeling a little bit crunchy, you did that sort of, and Eva, this would be a difficult one for you with a long torso, but I just lift slightly. I'm not actually even lifting. I'm just taking the pressure off the sit bone. That also feels good.
But as long as your chair has armrests, you can do it even with the long term. So that is good.
You can. Yeah. You can almost do a little bit of a swing, you know, with the arms of the chair. Yeah. Good. Okay, so Utkatasana, taking a block. If you just sit nice and tall, take your block onto the top of your head and very gently, so I'm not talking about squashing the back of your neck. Reach the crown of your head into your block and put a slight pressure by pulling it down slightly and lift. Now you can do that standing up or you can do that seated. That's that notion of axial extension we were talking about. Lifting the crown like you were being measured when you were younger. You just wanted to be a little bit taller. So I get people to do this before we do twists. If we do a chair twist or a seated twist, just lengthen. So it's a push-pull again. And then you try and maintain that sort of length, that openness that you've created, and then come into twists. So again, very easily, sometimes I start my sequence with that. Just getting, we can't live in axial extension. We can't walk around like that all day, but we can kind of get a cellular memory type of feeling around it to sit up nice and tall and straight and resist the crown of the head into the block. Okay.
And Claire, sorry, when you're doing that one with the block on your head, what do you have to be conscious of what your pelvis is doing, whether you're tilting it or?
Not really, no. It's more the length in the, I mean, it would help if you were right on top of your sit bones and your axis. I would say that would help, but it wouldn't be a drama if you take your, just If you come slightly forward and do it, you don't get exactly the same feeling because you really have to reach out of the pelvis if you're leaning forward. But if you're sitting right on top of your sit bones, you can feel that the pressure is actually different if you try it. So, I mean, it isn't injurious, it isn't, but you probably get more benefits if you're sitting straight up on your sit bones. I mean, try it. Take your body slightly forward and push your head into it. You kind of need a little bit of more reach from the lower. I feel my abs engage when I'm leaning forward as to whether I'm just sitting upright. Can you feel a difference? Hello?
Sorry, I'd unmuted. Yes, I feel a difference in that. Yeah, thank you.
I feel kind of balance itself out just with the action of growing the crown of the head up. Yeah, exactly. Okay. All right. So, as in Mr. Iyengar has his king of all poses, this is my headstand. This is the king of my poses. Okay, so this is where we have to do quite a lot of rigging up. So I'm going to show you how to do the pose first, and then you can all set yourselves up. So I take my chair. Okay. So what I've got here is my mat. I've got a blanket on the mat. And I've just rolled the top edge of it. You can see everything is pretty neatly folded. Then I've just rolled the top of it. One tiny little fold. And then I'm going to lay that down. Okay. You might need to fiddle with the distance of your chair from your mat. But I'll show you how we get into this. So I stand with the back of the chair facing me. And then take a big step out. You can put some blanket or something, just make sure if anyone steps on it that they don't slip. So coming down, I line up my knees with the front legs of the chair. Come down onto all fours. So remember, this is for general back pain, but this works for herniated discs as well. So what I don't want to do, we said for herniation, you don't want to be rounding, creating that shape again. So this is the whole idea. This is why I'm getting into this pose quite carefully, and anyone with back pain. So I stand on my knees, then I come onto all fours, lengthen out an arm and a leg, opposite arm and leg, and then I come down quite low, and then keeping the back straight, I want to roll down onto the floor, roll up, and put my legs on the chair. So here we would just have to see nicely. So if I was very short, I might want to turn the chair around because the chair is at an angle. You can see that the seat is slightly up, but I'm tall. What we want is the back of the knees to catch the edge of the chair. And I also don't want to be at a right angle because here the hip flexors are engaging and I want everything to be passive. This pose is repose before pose. So I'd start a sequence with this pose. It's completely passive. So here I am with the backs of my knees, a little bit more of a right angle. I take my strap. And what you see here is I'm not at any stage doing this rounding action. So I have to be very careful now that I'm nice and straight and it took so much time to get into it without rounding my back. I want to be careful how I do all these actions. It might work for some students to use a rolled washcloth or towel just in the lumbar spine. I found that sometimes it really gives people with back pain a lot of relief, sometimes it doesn't. And sometimes on different days, they like it and they don't like it, so you just have to go by feel. When I want to put this towel under my lumbar, I want to make sure that I don't lift up like this and posterior tilt again. I've been doing all this work not to do this. So the way I do that is take my feet to the edge of the chair, open my knees, and then lift. So I'm not coming into posterior tilt. When the knees are open and I lift, slide the lumbar roll under, and release. So I can really feel for me today, I'm not loving the lumbar roll, so I'll take it out. All right, take our strap. I bring one knee in towards my chest. So I'm not grounding to do that. I'm putting strain on everything. One, round the back. Bring the knees in. And I strap mid-calf. Mid-thigh. So between the knee and the hip, halfway. I make sure that the buckle is not on my skin. It's in between the legs, so it's not distracting. And here on my blanket, I've got the edges just at the top of my shoulders. I'm going to give myself a nice head nest. So this is a good one to know for Shavasana as well. So I've got that little fold. I take my hands as though I'm coming into wheel. I hook my fingers under the bottom of the blanket. And I start to roll towards my ears. Roll, roll, roll. What this has done is it's slightly tilting my chin towards my chest. It's lengthening my neck. And then I might give a little bit of a pull on it, and it gives me a little bit of traction, nice and long, and then feels super comfy. So there I've got my little head nest, taking the arms out. What the belt is doing is it's when we come to sit or lie, sometimes the legs flop out to the side, and that's going to have an effect on the pelvis. So when you keep everything nice and stable and together, you'll still be able to just completely relax. So here I am, tucking my shoulder blades, chin is slightly tucked. I could lie here for 5 minutes, or I could lie here all day. I better not get too comfy. So this is chair Shavasana, pose, repose before pose. Okay, so there we go. When I come out of it, and clip. And I come out exactly as I went in. I roll over in 1 unit. I don't want to take the legs first and twist. So 1 unit, roll over. And come up into my pause. Sit back. Rise up on my knees. Take a step forward. Hand to the top of the knee. And come up nice and safe. Okay. All right. Does everyone want to give that a try? Are there any questions on how to get in?
I have a question.
Yes.
So I find the people that I treat like this, they really struggle to actually get down on the floor. And I think it's like hip flexor length and quad length and all of that. Don't you find, because the way you just got up was, I mean, beautiful. But I always find people want to lean forward to bring the one knee up. And yeah, I just wondered what you find.
So I find this of, you just here. So just while I'm bending in the studio in New York, if we were doing anything to do with herniation and we were bending down to pick up a prop, we were told we would be failed on the spot. So if you were in a class, and I'm just talking now when I'm thinking about it, good thing to know with picking things up. So if I was in the studio, or this is outside in the world where we to pick up heavy things, taking feet a little bit, depending on your hamstring length. If you've got tight hamstrings, take the legs a little wider. Turn the feet out slightly. And as we mentioned with herniation, we want neutral spine. So we want to pelvic hinge. So hinge at the pelvis rather than spinal flex. So if I'm coming to pick something up, I would hinge at the hips, reach down to get my baby or my bag or my whatever it is. Take it close to my chest first, and then use the strength of the legs pushing up, coming up. So at no stage was there ever spinal flexion around it. And just bringing that, levers and load and all of that closer to the chest. You can think of it. But coming down to the floor, so I didn't see names. Who asked the question?
It's Emma.
Emma. Okay, Emma. All right. So the way we come down onto the floor, tell me which position you think would be difficult.
So, I mean, just that.
Yeah.
I find the type of, patients, and remember, I mean, I'm coming from this physio angle, but the type of patients I see, really, I wouldn't even get them onto the floor. But I'd love to.
Yeah.
And I was wondering if you see people that you are also like, oh my gosh, how am I going to get this person to the floor? Because you're breaking it down so beautifully, but like still, if you lack hip flexion, hip extension to a certain degree, I'm talking about an older man, an older man here, I just find they struggle to even do exactly as you're doing that. Would you ever break it down and make them like sit on the chair first and then from the chair slide down, or?
If you had someone holding a chair, would that help? Just thinking. I mean, I've never had someone that struggled that much getting to the floor. But
okay.
Chair, I wonder if that would work.
Yeah, maybe. Because, I mean, the next option is to use like a low plinth, but not everybody would have them.
So I would think sitting on a chair this way and then taking the knee down, because then that's what I would do, because then you're halfway there. So instead of coming from this angle all the way down, if you're sitting on a chair, taking the knee down, then you're there.
Yeah, and maybe putting something in front so that they could hinge from the hips if they needed to, and kind of, put their hands in front of them. That could work.
So the next step of that, so I've got the chair the wrong way around, but you know what I mean. So taking the leg down, you would be here, then to all fours, sitting back, then to all fours, straightening up the leg, rolling over, and then coming back up, back up, leg forward, leaning in, leg using the chair here, and maybe coming to sit without the twist. I think that would work. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Pleasure. Anything else while we're there? Is everyone set up? Do you want to give this a bash? Do you want me to go through the stepping forward again, getting to the floor? Or are you okay with that?
Yeah, could you go through that, the getting to lying down part? I missed that while I was setting up.
Sure, okay. So back of the chair is facing you. Coming down onto your knee as though you're genuflecting in church. It's only way I can describe. One knee. In line with the front legs of the chair. Come back onto your knees, standing on your knees. Sit back. Then come to all fours. Lengthen opposite arm and leg. Get quite low. Then roll over onto that hip. Rolling over. Knees to the back of the chair.
Sorry, Claire, I've literally had to pop in now. Which way should the chair be facing?
So, the back of the chair, so the seat of the chair is facing away from you. The back of the chair is in line with your body, back of the chair. So the back of the chair is facing you. Does that make sense?
I think so, yeah.
So you're facing the way you would sit on a chair, you're just standing. Got it, Firdaus? So stand with your back in the back of the chair in the same way. Yeah, you got it now.
Thanks.
Yeah. Oh, this is so difficult to see everybody. Yeah.
Claire, why do you set up the thing with the head towards the wall? I missed that part. Where does the wall come in?
It doesn't. It's just the way I said
okay.
I could get it in.
Okay. Yeah, okay. But then could you, with people who can't get down to the floor, could you do it with them lying on a bench? Because if they do the same thing that you do, that flopping from side lying towards their back, they could do that like with their hip to the side of a bench. Then they could lie on the bench. You could set up a chair on that bench at the wall, if you have the bench at the wall, so that the chair can't fall over.
No,
And you could have them do the same thing.
Yeah, you just have to be careful with how the chair and the bench are kind of lined up.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
So it's not in a yoga studio, like with what Emma is doing. If she says she can't get them to the floor, but she would like to do that pose, it would have the same effect if you would have them, and they probably can lie down sideways and then to their back on a bench somehow.
Okay.
Otherwise, they would never get to bed.
Yes. Yeah, you could try that. Yeah. I see. Okay, so some of you, have you got your strap? I can't see most of you. Okay, so try it out. If you, 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 15 minutes. Sometimes that's all people do. So I say if there's one pose that you do, if your back is not feeling great, do that pose. Do it for 15 minutes. If you're going to go for a run or do your exercise, bookend it with this. Start with it, 10 minutes, go and do what you need to do, come back. That's what I do. Go for a run, come back, and I do this. It's really decompressive on the spine. It's amazing. I've got people that, this is, I've given 1 or 2 exercises. This is one, they'll say it will change everything in the back. So it really is a good one. Repose before pose. Okay, and this is kind of what the little head nest looks like. Once it's all rolled up, it's quite a handy little thing to be able to do. Okay. All right. Then for spasms, tired backs, we know the child's pose is a good one, but child's pose sometimes and a lot of the time needs to be propped because it's not that comfortable for everyone with tight hamstrings. So I would recommend just using your props, using your blankets, putting the blanket behind, just above the ankles, and then you can see me with a bolster in front of you, lying down with a block in front of you. So this one, those are quite, quick and easy to do with a bolster, a padding, block. That would be for general back pain, relieving lower back, and prone shavasana. So prone shavasana is quite a difficult one, and it takes a lot of time to set up. Where you're lying on a bolster, there's 2 ways to do it, lying facing down to your bolster. Either taking your little sternal notch just above the edge of the bolster. So just tell me if this is not making sense. So you're lying down on the bolster, take a little sternal notch above, or you can just take this pubic bone to slide down the back of the bolster. So just to slide off the bolster to give a little bit of rounding. And then the feet extended and the arms out. Arms would be propped and something under the shoulder blades so the shoulders are not hanging. There's quite a lot of, we spoke quite a lot about the prone shavasana and the normal shavasana, and Eva, this is probably something that would be of interest to you. The trauma side of, some people don't feel very comfortable in shavasana, feeling very exposed with the eyes closed. So a prone shavasana would be a good one, just for sort of, I suppose, the brain, the mind side of things. Although there was another side to that saying that some people have experienced trauma do not like to be in a prone shavasana, lying down, because they feel, if there's a loud noise or something happens, they can't see what's going on and they can't get away quickly. So there is an anxiety about also not being able to see things around you. So it's kind of a double-edged sword. So you have to choose which kind of shavasana works for who. So for those, have a hand up and then we'll get to Juliet. Yes.
Yeah, how do you place your face in prone shavasana?
So you would be just off your bolster and you would have a block in front of you or a rolled up blanket.
Okay.
In front of your forehead. So you have in space. Yeah.
Claire, just to say what we found in a lot of the trauma project about prone shavasana, like I'm so glad you mentioned that, because what else people liked sometimes, I'll just show you, was kind of like doing it like this. So bending this one knee and kind of lying like this with the cheek facing the other way. Sorry, can you see what I'm...
Yeah, I can see, yeah.
So and then also a lot of people like to take their shavasana like this.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Like a fetal position.
Yeah, like a pregnancy shavasana. Yeah, thanks for those. Yeah, that's...
Especially from a trauma perspective.
Yeah, absolutely. Juliet? you want to say something? No? Okay.
That's fine. Thank you.
All right. Okay, another traction one. Let's come to stand at the wall. So I'll just quickly demonstrate. Have a look first. We take one step. Let me just make myself big so I can see what's happening, if you can see me. All right. So I come to 1 foot away from the wall. I just measure my foot. Take the other foot behind. So your toe of your other foot is touching your heel, just to measure the foot. And then take your feet hip distance apart. I come up onto my tiptoes and reach the arms up the wall. Spread my fingers. And then take my gaze straight ahead of me. Keep up onto tiptoes and stick the hands to the floor like a gecko. And then slowly, I begin to, I'm making sure that the wrist, the shoulder is in line with the body. So I'm not collapsing towards the wall with the chest and the armpits. I'm pushing away with the hands, so it should be in one long line. Then I slowly start to take my heels to the floor and keep my hands where they are. So at no stage are my hands and my heels moving at the same time. I take the heels to the floor, keep the hands stuck where they are, start to lower them slowly until I can't anymore, and then I stop. Take the hands a few inches down the wall, and then start all over again. Start to lower the heels to the floor. Stop, lower, stop until I get all the way to the floor. Then when I'm on the floor, push my hands into the wall and up the wall. So this is called traction and counter traction. So you're going to feel that sense of being pulled in two different directions. So start to gently slide the hands down only when you are stationary with the heels. So it defeats the object if the heels and the hands come down at the same time. That's it. How does that feel? It's quite hard. Remember not to collapse the chest and the armpits to the floor, to the wall. That's it. Move the chest away from the wall and slowly down. That's it. And then when you've got the heels, push into the wall and up the wall. How does that feel? Anyone?
Can I ask a question? Sorry, it's Anya. When you have your hands up against the wall, sorry, you go up on your tippy toes first and then put your hands up as high as you can. And then you lower your feet to the mat.
Yeah.
It's kind of hard to not move your hands down the wall while you're lowering your feet.
That's the whole point. So you're stuck with your hands, lowering the heels, until you can't anymore. Then you have to stop. Then you don't lower the heels anymore.
So you just stop before you move your hands down, before your hands come down, then you stop.
You need to stop, and then just a couple of millimeters, take the hands down a little bit, and then start with the heels again. Then when you can't anymore, the hands are going to come down, then you stop, and then again. So it's inched. It's never at the same time that the hands and the heels are coming down at the same time. And that's going to give you that pulling traction. Okay. So that's also easy. That's a really easy one. All you need to do is get up from your chair or go to the studio and use the wall. Okay. So while we're at the wall, the other one would then, so we've done this one, is to step out, hands to the wall. Can't really see myself pushing into the wall. And be close enough to the wall that you could push into the wall, send the sit bones back, ears are in line with the upper arms, reach the sit bones back, and the ankles should be in line with the hips. So you've got your L shape, push, 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 push. Make sure that you're not kind of overarching, just in natural curves, pushing away to come out of it, bend the knees, walk towards the wall. Yeah. Another really, really easy one for traction. Give it a try. You might want to take the arms a little bit wider if you're feeling too much in the shoulders. That's it. Nice. For those, you need to move your feet a little bit closer to the wall. I can see your angle nicely. Can't see too many of your other angles. That's it. Don't drop your head so much. Lift your chin a little bit. That's it. Ears in line with the spine. And ears in line with the upper arms. Got it. Vedette, lift your head. That's it. Okay, another little traction one. Good. All right, here we're going to take, this one is a good one for herniation. So those you could use for herniation as well. There was hinging. So there's a better one, and I'm going to show you now for the herniation, but you're hinging from the hips, right? So there hasn't been any rounding of the spine. That one against the wall for herniation, I'm going to show you how to do here. But hands up the wall is a really good one for general back and for herniation. So another one for general back and herniation. I come to the wall, back to the wall, take the feet one leg's length distance apart, parallel the outside of the feet to the outside edges of the mat. Take the sit bones to the wall. So if someone's got really tight hamstrings, slightly bend the knees. Take the hands to a chair. And then slowly start to push the chair away. And as you're pushing the chair away, start to lift, to slide the sit bones up the wall. Now, if someone's got really tight hamstrings and they've got a herniated disc, they might start to round. So what you need to do is stop them before they get to that point. They can put a little bend in the knees, keep the spine nice and long, and just come to maybe that's it. And then they stop. Try to get a little bit more pelvic hinge. So slide the sit bones up the wall, and then try again. And then they can keep trying until they get to that place. And push the hands into the chair, reach the crown of their head forward, pushing the sit bones into the wall and up the wall. And then you might be able to come all the way down. Ears in line with the upper arms. To come out of the pose is quite important. So we're going to have to bring the chair nice and close. Have it move my back. Hands closer to the shoulders. Push through the back of the chair. Take the sit bones from the wall and heel toe the feet together. Okay. Here you go. So the heels are not right at the wall. They're probably about 3-4 centimeters away from the wall. That's it. And then keeping the straight spine, start to push that chair away from you. Lift the sit bones up the wall. And you can get a sense of before you start rounding. You feel that too much in the hamstrings, just bend them slightly. Nice, that looks good. Okay. And then coming out, drag the chair under the shoulders, push to the floor. The chair. Okay. I just want to do 1 or 2 core exercises, safe for the back. Quite a different one, taking a block. So everybody get your block. And here, we're going to come to stand at the wall, also about a foot away from the wall. Oh, now I've got the glare on the computer screen, but I'm hoping you can see me.
We can perfectly see you. It's all good.
Good. All right. Taking the block to the wall, lean into the wall with the forehead on the block. Take the elbows in line with the shoulders and push the forehead into the block. You're going to feel the whole front line tightening up. And then if that feels good, taking the hands, palms facing slightly behind you, but resisting that block, making sure it doesn't fall. And feeling, you should feel the tightness all the way down the front body. Does everybody feel that? For those?
There is your forehead holding up the block.
Yeah, your forehead is pushing into that block, making sure it doesn't fall off the wall, and you should feel the front body tighten up.
Let me try again.
This can also be done kneeling. You could also do this kneeling on the floor, pushing in. And then taking the arms behind you and just using the forehead. Yeah. Does everyone feel that in the front body? Cool. Cool. Vedette?
Yeah, I'm not too sure. I don't know if it's my distancing. I seem to be not very good with distancing from the wall. I feel like my neck, I'm just crunching.
Your neck muscles are going to turn, or the front is definitely going to turn on. You are going to feel that in your neck muscles, but play with the distance. You might go back a little bit further and lean in more. Yeah.
Further back. Okay.
Punching in your neck, so it shouldn't be like that. You should be pushing, resisting forward.
Okay.
So it sounds like you're close to the wall. Clearly then.
Thanks.
Okay. All right. Okay, so that can be done kneeling as well. We are running out of time so quickly. Got so much to. Okay. Traction and I know this is it's a tricky one because we don't all have a door, that kind of door. I know some of you got sliding doors in a studio, but it's just an interesting one to show you how to set it up, even if you were doing privates or one-on-ones at home or whatever the case is. This is I'm wanting to show you with a sling and how you can translate this with ropes. So essentially what you're going to do with straps, essentially, we're coming. So not everyone's got one of these slings, but that's why I'm going to show you how you can do it in different ways. So I'm going to have to angle this. Okay. So my feet are hip distance apart. I've got my sling just in the crease of my legs, thumbs in to hold it in place. Now you have to be super careful what kind of a door. So I've been doing all these things with the door, and in my old house I was doing it in the study, and I pulled the door slightly out of its hinges. And my husband came home and couldn't close the door, and he said, "What's wrong with the door?" I said, "I don't know." And I just turned my back and walked away. So be careful. Okay. So hands on my hips. I'm pelvic hinging, so this is a good one for herniation, for back care, for scoliosis. Bending at the hips. And then I take either the chair, depending on what hamstrings I like, under my shoulders, the seat of the chair under my shoulders. Slowly I'm going to start to walk my feet back until and you won't be able to see because of the wall and the door, but I come all the way back so that my heels are halfway up the wall. Then I'll come onto my forearms, bend the knees slightly if I need to, and that feels so glorious I can't even tell you. So I'm getting length, I'm reaching out, I'm pushing my heels into the wall, lengthening my spine, and then my arms are resting here. So I could go all the way down into downward facing dog like this, and then I'm kind of just getting them hanging. And then coming out of the pose, walk towards the chair, bend the knees, come up with a straight back all the way. While I'm here, I could do some strengthening. These are called butters, coming up and down. So as I come down, I get that traction, but then I'm using the back muscles to lift me up and down. And I come out. Okay. All right. I'm going to take you down there to show you how you can do this without a strap. But one before that, I'd like to do is Utkatasana. So that's why you would need 2 straps. You need to measure that they're the same distance, same length. Okay. So I've got them more or less the same length. One strap, a buckle over the door, and then the other buckle over the door. Closing the door, make sure no one opens the door on the other side. And then, let's see from the side. Take my straps, give them a little pull, make sure they're even length, palms facing each other, feet hip distance apart, and leaning back, sitting back. That feels so good. So this is a great one for people with fusions, stretching all the way down the side, stretching the tissues where they can. This is great for herniation, great for scoliosis. Sitting back, and then maybe I can feel this one slipping a bit, but right. So what you would then want to do is maybe straighten out the legs. So getting great traction here. And then when you come out, bending the elbows, keeping the spine nice and long and straight to come out. Okay. It's another great one. And for traction.
Claire, where did you get that sling? We all want one.
America, but you can get them here. Maybe not exactly like that one, but I'll get a contact for you. There's so much you can do with those slings. Really, they're phenomenal. Now, all right. So Utkatasana, I want to show you quickly what I've just done without the sling. So bear with me while we run to my front door. I have tried to set it up as much as I can. So here we go. There we are. My beautiful lavender door that I had painted without asking or consulting my husband. And he came home and said, "Why is the door purple?" And I said, "It's not, it's lavender." And he was not happy. I'm coming back. All right. So, people that don't have a sling, this is what we're going to do. If you have a studio door that you could use for private. All right, so we take our strap. It is better to have door handles with a straight bit rather than the little round knobbly bits, just in case it slips. So, I want you to be able to see what I'm doing. So there's my door handles. I take my strap. Okay. So I'll do that again. Take your strap against the door and then wrap it around the door handles and pull. Okay. So your distance of your strap is going to depend on your hamstring length, really. So I'm probably going to have to just lengthen it out a little bit so I give myself a little bit more space. So just watch where the buckle is as well. Now, I'm going to, this is like, I'm exhausted, it's like gymnastics. Okay, let's see. Can you see me? All right. So I'm coming into my strap. Exactly as I did. Can you all see me? Good, okay. All right, so I just kind of lift my legs up to make sure that the strap is in the hip crease, making sure the buckle's not on me. I do exactly the same thing here. I've set up a block at the door. So feet are hip distance apart, pelvic hinge. Either taking my hands to a chair, and we know how that works, I showed you. This time I'm going to use the blocks. Put my hands and blocks under the shoulders. Start to walk back, not arms and spine, taking my feet to the block. They're halfway up the block. That also stabilizes the door. So the door is, if I look, it's down the center of me. Then I start to move my blocks forward and I come into downward facing dog. Maybe I turn the blocks on the shorter end, reach forward, and maybe eventually I don't need the blocks anymore. So I lean forward, getting this huge traction in the spine. Might need to bend the knees slightly. And then when I want to come out, take my blocks again, bend the knees, walk towards the shoulders, take the blocks under my shoulders first, push up, walk closer, keep the knees bent, hands to the hips, and come all the way up. And there we go. So for that, don't have to get yourself a big sling if you've got a strap and a door. Okay, any questions? No? Okay. All right, I want to give you one or two more on the strengthening side. So we spoke about bird dog. Side, a little bit of strengthening. All fours. Let's do it this way. Lengthen up the leg. You have to fiddle a little bit to where it is, but I start off with the foot flat on the wall, lengthening. And then maybe as it gets stronger, taking the foot away. So that's an easy one. It's a nice strengthening, stabilizing the back. Okay, and then the king of herniation poses. I'd like everyone to try this one. Grab the wall. Okay, so getting down carefully. I'm not going to go through the whole regular roll. Coming down. You need your 2 blocks and possibly a lumbar roll, a towel. Okay. Come to lie at the wall in Paschimottanasana. So take your toes halfway up the wall. So the balls of your feet are up the wall. Open up the knees. And then you might want to just support with blocks underneath. So the feet are together. Even when I open the knees, the feet are still together, balls of the feet up the wall. Take the arms up and over. Now if I was someone with hyperkyphosis, about a sort of a rounding in the upper back, I might need to put blocks under my hands. Or if you're just someone with very tight shoulders, you would like the backs of your hands resting on blocks. So we stay here for a few minutes to get a nice length in the spine. Some people do feel better with the lumbar roll. Again, feet together, knees apart, put the lumbar roll in under the lumbar spine. And then from there, we take the arms down. Take the thumb into the hip creases. So the hands, the rest of the hand wraps around. You can use your fists. Some people, depending on proportions of the arms, feel better using fists. Otherwise, you've got the thumbs in the hip creases, and then this is the self-traction, which is so great because you can measure it for yourself. Push your thighs away from you towards the wall. And I feel a huge sort of opening up, traction in the lower spine. It's actually it's really, really a physical, mechanical feeling for me, so I have to go really slowly. But that's a great thing because then you can back off. So you're pushing the thighs towards the wall, and then visualize the spine, so opening up the vertebrae in the lower back. Do that for a few moments, back off, and then you're going to take your hands to the outside of your thighs, bring the knees together, and do exactly the same thing. The balls of the feet are still up the wall, thumbs in the creases, pushing the thighs away from you. You need to come out, open up carefully. So are you doing that? Does anyone feel anything? Taryn, how's that feeling?
Claire, I think I need to come and spend a week with you.
You are most welcome. Anytime, I would love it. I think the more people I can get my hands on, the better. Super exciting for me. Juliet, how did that feel? Vedettes? Guys?
It's actually quite an intense feeling in the lower back, like when you get that kind of pull.
I find
felt it quite a lot.
I have to go very slowly on this one. I feel quite and funny enough, I do this in a general class. Half of them feel something, half don't. So yeah, as Eva was saying also in the beginning, she didn't feel anything with the Uttanasana traction. Can be.
Yeah, I definitely feel it.
Okay.
Yeah, I definitely feel it higher up, funny enough. But like now when I just got up, everything's like, so it's, much higher.
Okay. So this
area, yeah. Interesting though, yeah. It's amazing.
Good. Janine?
Claire, would you be able to send us some written instructions for these poses? Just so that we, because sometimes you forget the little intricate details of what needs to be done.
Yeah.
I don't know if you've got little pictures or explanation.
I can put something together.
That would be amazing. Thank you.
Good. Okay. So that is the go-to for herniation. That really gives that link, and it's monitored, it's self-traction. Sometimes people feel better and are able to give more traction in one day than the other, so it changes, but at least you're able to monitor it. So that's the king of the herniation, and then the repose before pose, the chair shavasana, is good for anyone, anytime, any back problem. That relief. And I think, I'll give that some more thought about getting down. I've never dealt with anyone that hasn't been able to. And there's ways that I do remember using the chair in the way I did for one way of doing it, but I'll think of another way as well for people who can't get down. Are there any, lots of chats that I haven't seen. Let's see.
Shame, Claire, you're all hot and flustered.
I know, look how red I am. I'm looking at myself. And it's out here. Where do you get the ropes from? I want to do that. You can do the aerial hammock. Yeah. Yes, you can with the aerial hammock. Lock the door. Exactly. Make sure when you're hanging with Uttanasana and that you, it's a good thing to lock the door just in case. Almost cervical. Yeah. My favorite. Yeah. Okay. So what we're going to do is, there's probably, when I sign off here, I'm going to, I want to say this. Roxy, yes.
Hello, Claire, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can't see, but I can hear you, it's fine.
Great. Just a quick question. When you have a hernia, obviously yoga can help release the pain and you have like postures that smooth it, but you cannot cure a hernia completely, right? Once there is a gap, there is a gap.
So what happens is a bulging disc can cure itself in a way. It can get reabsorbed back, especially if you're doing this type of thing. You've definitely got a chance if you're doing the traction and the right type of exercises. It can heal itself easier. If it does not, and it's a ruptured disc and you're in excruciating pain, you would have to eventually go for an op. I had a friend, my running partner, who couldn't stand, couldn't sit, couldn't lie down. She had a herniated disc, but it was a bad one. It was completely prolapsed, ruptured disc. And they just basically shaved that little piece that's come out off. But there's a very good chance that you can heal a disc, or that it will heal on its own.
Okay, great. And last question. So if I'm understanding well, obviously all the spine flexion is not good for the herniated disc. So you want to kind of elongate the spine and do all the exercise that we've done now with the straps and the props. And what about twists?
So when you say, the forward bends, pelvic hinge is fine. So keeping in those natural curves, that's what we want to do. So Uttanasana, but pelvic hinge, put your hands on the block. You don't have to spinal flex. And eventually, in time, I don't want to say because you've had a herniated disc, you're never going to be able to forward fold. Eventually you will be able to, but strengthening the back as well. So what was your other part of the question?
All about the twisting posture. So supine twist, seated twist.
Twisting is fine. Twisting, remember in the beginning I said very, very mild traction, very, very mild rotation. So I know what's going to happen. I'm going to close this meeting and I'm going to see all these things that I've desperately wanted to do with you. So I might do one or two in the next session. But twisting quickly is, my chair is not here. Hold on one second.
Shame. She's going to be dead after this.
Down the stairs, keeping me foot. Okay, so twisting. Okay, so I sit with my thigh to the side of the chair. Take my leg out to the side. It's at about a 45-degree angle. Don't want to take it too far back. About 45, my toes are pointing upwards. I'm flexing my foot. Sitting nice and tall. I take my block first. The other leg is at a right angle. So make sure that's all lined up. Push the ground of my head into my block. Get nice and tall. Okay. Now that leg is out to the side. Sitting right on my axis. Inhale. Exhale to twist. Make sure I'm not leaning back. I'm using my hands to make sure that I'm not wrenching myself into the twist. It's a very soft push-pull. Turn to twist. This leg out to the side is acting like a handbrake. It's not allowing everything to come forward. It's slowing the twist down. So I'm getting a nice stretch over here, but it's very measured and just very light. That kind of a twist I eventually do with herniated disc people. It's very soft. And as soon as they feel anything niggly, they just back off a little bit. So twists are possible, but modified and very, very mild. And again, if I was doing that with someone with a herniated disc and they said, oh, then it's out. Then no, maybe not for that time or another kind of a twist. Check there. Let's see. Okay, we can get, the second person who asked me, these chairs, unfortunately, I only bought 5 of them and I wanted to get another 5. Perva in Johannesburg has shut down. So,
Mr. Price.
Sorry?
Mr. Price.
Possibly. Or the Iyengar Yoga Institute. They will either be able to help or point you in the right direction. But I need to get some as well, so I'll see if I can find out. Yeah. So Iyengar Yoga Institute is probably your best bet. Okay. Okay, I think that is it for now. I wanted to show you some Surya Namaskars, the chair, but all right, we've run out of time. So the next session on Friday, I'm going to speak quite a lot about scoliosis. So again, it's optional. Whether you're interested in scoliosis, being able to see it possibly in someone, it's a very tricky thing and it's very tricky to work with. So that's why I also want to make it optional, because you might feel that, you feel that you can't really do anything with it. But it is fascinating. So I'll cover scoliosis and then I'll probably look at a little bit of hunching of the shoulders. So hyperkyphosis, or just rounding of the shoulders and rounding of the upper back. Just a few exercise poses for that. And see how we go. I might touch on a little bit of sciatica because that's quite common. And so that's about it. And I might show you, we'll have time to do a chair Surya Namaskar, just a nice modified sun salutation for someone with a herniated disc where you don't want to be rounding the back, etc., or someone who's got a little bit of back pain.
Awesome. Thank you, Claire.
You're welcome. Anyone, if you've got any questions or anything or any input, you can just, you can give me a shout, let me know. And then I think also just let me know on before Friday who will come on Friday, just so I know if anyone is coming, then I can just prepare for that. There's a hand, and that is, who's the hand? It's so funny, I just see a little hand and no name.
It's me. It's Roxanne. Last question quickly. What is the major difference between a sciatica and a hernia?
Yeah, that's it's an interesting one because a lot of the time they present exactly the same. So
Okay.
it's a nerve being pinched, it's neural. Okay. So the sciatica runs from, I think it's L3, L3 to S5, I think it is, from the spinal cord, goes through either through or behind the piriformis, so through the buttocks and the hip, and those little nerves can get compressed or tightened by the piriformis. They can become compressed, and they present as the same symptoms if you've got pain from it. Sort of a burny, tingly numbness that runs down into the foot. So very difficult to say, but the same type of pain. And treat it, with sciatica. There would be some differences, obviously, with the herniation, keeping it in neutral and that, but quite a few of the same exercises, the figure 4, etc. Yeah.
Thank you.
So it's, you would have to have that specifically diagnosed because they do present as the same sensations. Anything else? No. Sorry, I feel like that was all over, like running all over my house and up and down, but I just wanted to try and give you the most I could in the time we had, so good. All right, I will see some of you then on Friday. Thanks for joining.
Thank you, Claire. Have a good day.
That was great. Thank you.
Thanks so much.
Thanks, Claire. Thank you.